welcome back. Now, are you hungry?
I'm always hungry for Edward's desserts.
That's right. Well, he's got a tasty dessert this morning, isn't that right?
He's going to whip us up a nice fruit crumble. Good morning to you, Edward.
Good morning to you both. How are we?
I'm loving your glassware this morning, I have to say. Very posh.
Very posh. Well, you know me, I just have to keep trying to reinvent myself. And I'm here so long, I don't want people to think I just have the same few old bowls.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Mrs. Bouquet never be gone.
These are lovely. So there's a bit of bling to them. And I just thought for Mother's Day, my friend Siobhan gave me these, but I just thought for Mother's Day that we'd do a bit something special as a lovely dessert. And then because all of our mothers sparkle, I said we'd bring a bit of sparkle for them as well.
So what are we making then?
Now, so what I'm making, as I said to you earlier on, it's kind of like a granola, but it's really not a granola. So I'm making a baked crumble topping. I'm making a lovely apple and mixed berry compote, and I'm going to serve that with a lovely honeyed yoghurt with kefir as well. So it's a kind of like a granola, but not a granola.
What's kefir?
So it's a kind of a natural protein and culture. So what I've got here is I have some apples. So I'm going to start with some apples, which I've just started to dice up here, and I have some of them in the pan. So just dice those into nice little chunks. Okay, now I'm using apples today. You might decide to use rhubarb as well. So some of the early spring rhubarb would be quite nice to use for this. So as with all of the recipes that I do, everything and all the different composite elements are interchangeable, that people can tweak and play around with the recipes. So in there, I've just got my diced apples. I'm going to put in a little bit of sugar in there. So I've just got a little bit of castor sugar, and I'm just going to put in some water there as well. So a couple of tablespoons of water. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on a nice good high heat, and I'm going to just pop the lid on there as well and leave the lid to let that happily cook away for a couple of minutes. Now, meanwhile, then I'm going to make the baked crumble topping.
Oh my God, I thought that was sugar for a second.
Yeah.
I was going to go, mother of God, how much sugar you put in there.
Now, so in there, that's my plain flour, okay? So I'm going to put in some plain flour there. To that, I'm just going to add in a little hint of a tint of cinnamon, okay? I am going to put in some brown sugar, the Demerara sugar. You can use white if you don't have it. It's not a deal breaker, but it does crisp up a little bit nicer. And then I have a nice big chunk of butter here. I'm going to pop that in its entirety, give that a little shake around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start rubbing this in. So rubbing it in like you would a normal crumble. So just break it up first.
This is room temperature butter now.
This is room temperature.
Patchen Leighton was here yesterday and she forgot to take it out of the fridge. She's there moulding the butter with her hands.
She's perfect, Alan, she'll say.
She's like going moulding the butter, trying to soften it up.
Yeah. A rookie error on the telly.
Oh, I'm telling you.
When time is short. So just get that nicely rubbed in. Now, again, because we're baking it, and even this is, obviously, you can do this for like your normal tray of crumble that you bake in the oven, and I'll talk to you about that in just a second. You don't have to get too excited about getting every single lump out of it, because you are going to kind of be baking it and the butter will melt down. But do get as much of it as you can. Now, that is the kind of the basics. The flour, the butter, and the sugar are the basics for our crumble.
So I'm nearly there. Then.
It's very simple. And that's the thing, I think, with this, Alan, because, you know, people might want to be doing something nice the weekend. You want to have it that you're giving the gift of time and spending a bit of time with someone. So
and
don't
be spending
all the time in the kitchen.
You could do this the day before.
You could absolutely do this the day before. It's really, really tasty. Now, so that's practically that there, yeah? So there might be one or two little rogue bits in there.
So I'm happy
enough. They will melt down, so I am happy enough with that, and you can see it just comes together into that richened sense. Now, what I've got then is I've got some nuts here. So I've said to you in the recipe, you can use hazelnuts or almonds. I actually had both, so I brought both. So you can use those in whatever amount you like. Pop those in there into the bowl. Give it a nice little mix around. Now, again, whilst that's the recipe I've given you this morning, feel free to use like a bit of porridge. You could put in some dried fruits in there as well if you want it. Then what I'm going to do is I've got a tray here. My tray is lined with parchment paper, and I'm just going to stick that into the oven.
Are you just putting this in to brown it?
I'm actually going to toast it a bit. I do want it to be more than browned. I want it to have that textural interest. So I'm going to spread that on the parchment. The parchment is very handy.
When you're taking it off.
So I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to pop that in there, 180, 350 gas Mark IV. You'd want to be giving it about 15 to 18 minutes, but every so often, guys, take it out and give it a little stir around, so that it is, it will just keep going really nicely. Now, meanwhile, then back at the ranch, our apples are continuing there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually
get the cooker working.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on a pause here. It's who was here yesterday? They're trying to sabotage.
That was Catherine Layden. She knew you were coming on. She knew you were coming on.
There you have it. Now, so we're all good, I think. Okay, so the apples are coming along nicely there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my Irish yogurts from Clonakilty. I'm using some of their gut health kefir. So this is that lovely natural milk fermented with live proteins.
Since I've been diagnosed with my diverticulitis now, I'm looking for this type of thing, gut health all the time.
Yeah, well, this is really tasty. And there's a really lovely cut in that as well. So I've got that there. So what I'm going to use a little bit of honey in there, just a tiny bit of honey, just to sweeten that up. Again, other things that you might decide to put in. You might decide to put in cardamom in there. You might decide to put lavender. You could put some bit of root ginger in there as well. So anything you like, just to add that extra depth of flavour to it. Now back to my apples here, which we've brought to life. So our apples are coming to life very nicely. Into that, then I'm going to put either some fresh or frozen berries. So just start the apples, give the apples a bit of a head start, okay, and then get them going. So I'm going to stick the lid back on there, and in true demonstration fashion, I do have.
So
here's one I made earlier.
Like, what are you leaving that?
Literally 5 minutes or so, just to soften it. There's my lovely crumble topping that I've taken out of the oven. So I've let that go cold, and then in whatever order you like. So I tend to go a little bit of fruit, a little bit of the yogurt, a little bit of the crumble, and then layer that up, okay? And then we're going to do the exact same again. So just add a bit of texture in there, into the middle of it, and then we're going to go the exact same again.
That's
and you can do 2
better.
or 3 layers, whatever you like. I just think 2 layers is lovely, particularly when you've got a big glass like this. I want there to be some glass available still at the top, okay? So there we have it, and then I have a little bit of crumble on the top. And 100 years ago, I worked with a lovely lady, and she used to always tell me that fruit on the top of anything sells it. So I've brought some lovely berries here.
Another little bit of...
I have a little bit of berry, and I've got some blueberries and blackberries there, and that would be absolutely lovely. And there you can see we've got our lovely crumble, and it's absolutely delicious. And then I'm just going to finish it off. That's just a tiny little bit of apple syrup. When I was packing the car this morning, I had a little bit of that in the larder. So a little bit of the apple syrup, I thought would be lovely.
In his larder.
Oh, my
I checked my larder, and I found my apple syrup.
What can I say?
So
very well.
I love your friend's glasses. They're fab.
Well, no, they are mine. She gave them to me.
Well, your friend gave you the glasses.
My friend gave me the glasses. But look at the lovely layering. It's really lovely there.
I love that more than the 3 layers together.
It's lovely.
It's much better
Do it in a cup, do it in a jar, do it in whatever you like, but do it is the message. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers.
Oh, that's delicious.
I love the crunch.
Isn't it gorgeous? It's the texture. It's the lovely flavour of the apples, the sweetness of the apples. There's a lovely, absolutely gorgeous, sharp kick in that yoghurt from Irish Yoghurt Clonakilty, the crunchy topping, the bit of apple syrup. Mwah.
Mwah. Everybody be making it for Mother's Day. Edward, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Now, after the break, Derek's found some puppy love. We'll see in a few minutes.